Hello again and welcome to Funky Mind Games ranks every hero in For Honor from worst to best because I've finally found the editing style that works for me. Mainly not doing it and letting my fledgling comedy career carry, but enough about my life, let's just get into it. There are 31 of these unnaturally tall relative to their friends and family bad boys, and they're divided into factions, but aside from sharing some common traits like being good at math or holding their holy sites for an average of about 30 years per crusade to the tune of over 1 million lives, they're all varied and good people when you get to know them. Oh, and keep in mind this ranking is obviously objective and factual, and if you disagree with it, you're just wrong, and also this is my Halloween video for the channel because the word count and upload schedule are scary enough. Starting from worst and climbing to best, number 31, Peacekeeper. I've been sitting here for 5 minutes and I got nothing. Every move she has is either slow or does no damage. It's like getting into a fight with a one-legged hacha-hacha dancer. She's springing around, but mostly it's not too dangerous if you know what you're doing. I mean, yeah, she's got a stab off her guard break, but that's about all she has. She also has deflect, but so do others, and they have kits that are slightly better than a one-legged hacha-hacha dancer tier, so here she is. Number 30, Shaman. Imagine Peacekeeper, but you can actually punish your bleed and have more than one extremely situational way to administer it. Once you bleed, back dodge and push the guard break button to do a charge where you tackle the enemy and bite him like a fucking vampire. It does 2 bars of damage and is pretty good even if you don't let your target bleed out a little because the bite resets their bleed, because apparently biting someone just causes automatic blood clots in all your wounds, a mechanic that makes perfect sense and begs no questions whatsoever. Is that a power vampires have? Automatic blood clotting upon bite? They probably do. Regardless, Edgelord Schizophrenic Draculette here is still above Peacekeeper, but in comparison to others, she usually gets the wooden stake to the heart as opposed to whatever Dracula's goal was in that book. I was never forced to read it in school, as if anyone even remembered it 5 minutes after turning in their report. I'm getting off track. Number 29, Shinobi. Good God. Rolling in with a run that hasn't been seen since Luck from Black Clover stole it from Naruto and sporting a health bar the size of his dick. Get it? Asian joke. Anyway, Shinobi has more than one useful skill, actually, provided the enemy lets you have a chance to use them before killing you in 2 hits. Or just sneezing on you. He used to have a running trip that got replaced by a cartwheel kick as far as I know, because I can't do it anymore, and also his range attacks where he throws his ninja pickaxe on a chain at you. That's a sentence I didn't think I'd say today. Double tapping the dodge button causes him to throw a smoke bomb and dodge to the side, which will be useful at some time in some fight that I'm unaware of. Can you tell I don't play this character often? Regardless, I've gone up against him enough to know with his slow heavies and microscopic Asian dick health bar, only the best Shinobis really stand a chance in the ring against anyone who is notably better than garbage. Number 28. Nuxia. Or is it Nuxia? I'm not good with Chinese, I'm sure you've noticed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first of the 3 characters that Funky Mind Games is too broke to afford. Don't worry, I fought them all and used them in training and during the free hero trial event things where they come around in an attempt to get you to buy the characters. Possibly the least played character in the entire game, this actually works to her advantage, as she has a grab attack that always gets me because she's the only one in the game who has it, and my base instinct is to parry it when it's unparryable, at which point I usually go, damn it, I forgot she has that move, and then fall for it about 5 more times. Besides that, she has a dodge attack that usually gets you out of situations where you're about to meet Confucius himself, and light attacks that you can spam to the frustration of your opponent and the disappointment of your parents. Only slightly recommended if you need a boost to your social credit score, and saying Tibet isn't real isn't doing it for you. Number 27, Gladiator. He suffers from low health. Are you noticing a pattern? Unlike the previous heroes, however, Gladiator has an unblockable punch that allows him to go directly into a combo and also has a special unblockable where he stabs you in the gut like a dollar store Roman Vlad the Impaler. Someone get Shaman, we can put her down for good. Anyways, he has that and the ability to catch the enemy off guard by stabbing their toes and knocking them backward, allowing for a practically guaranteed light attack that he can do whenever he feels like. He has an execution where he gets punched in the face and then punches you back, killing you instantly. It has nothing to do with anything, I just thought it was entertaining and worth mentioning. Number 26, Shaolin. This Buddhist monk has left his temple to beat your Catholic ass personally. He sports a bamboo stick like a ninja turtle and an arm guard that can somehow stop swords, knives, and 200-pound clubs dead in their tracks. This guy gives the dozer from Payday 2 a run for his money in the bullshit department. Asian Donatello also has the ability to hold his attack stance if you hold heavy attack after clicking, after which you can dodge to the left left or right, or do a swinging overhead. He also has the ability to do a 3-hit combo if he lands a single light attack that is sure to piss off whoever's on the receiving end of it. He's not what I'd consider a super good character, but if you aren't paying attention, you may find yourself reincarnated into a blade of grass faster than you can say Taiwan isn't a country. Number 25, Nobushi. Her fanbase represents the duality of man, with half of them being the horniest For Honor players of all time, and the other half being the most creative with the freshest memes for her mask. And by freshest means, I mean the laughing crying emoji and climaxing emoji, and by most, I mean least. She has this really annoying ability to take one step backward and somehow dodge whatever attack you are performing, like you didn't just cut her in half with a giant sword. She's also a mistress of bleed with the ability to spam her light attack, a move that is practically guaranteed to get your opponent to scream at the TV like a pig whose tail just got yanked. Come to think of it, your opponent might actually be a pig. They can play video games. The next time someone calls you a pig over the Xbox Live, they may actually be complimenting your gaming skill. I'm just kidding. There's no way that's what's happening. Real gamers go for far worse names. What was my point again? Nobushi. Annoying, average, and the object of many a Rep 90 sweatlord's desire. Kill her instantly, please. Number 24, Valkyrie. Up there is one of my least favorite characters. Valkyrie decided she's not waiting around for chivalrous men to come save her. She's her own woman. And the result is a bottom tier character that is one move saving her from last place. That damn leg sweep. It's fast, it's easy, and it knocks you to the ground, guaranteeing you will take damage. The fact that it usually follows up to incredibly quick light attacks gives it that extra psychological warfare that will have you screaming at your television. She can also forgo this combo to make a third light where she does a flawless impression of a drunk quirky sorority chick and slams her shield directly into your head, leaving your ears ringing and you unable to see where the next attack comes from. For about half a second, and the bots have psychic powers that allow them to basically catch this attack 99 out of 100 times, so don't do it against the cheating CPU and you should be fine. Number 23, Orochi. One of my favorite characters, Orochi is still not great. A character with 2 fast lights and 2 slow heavies. He has only one opening where you dodge backward and heavy, so you charge the enemy and hit him from 3 directions. Most people really can't handle it if you do it in moderation. The only other thing you need to know is light spam the hell out of this character, and when you're not spamming lights, you're spamming dodge lights. So keep this up and both your victory and virginity will be guaranteed. Number 22. Pirate. Rolling up, it's Johnny Depp. Oh wait, you can only be female. Let's see. Yeah, I've got nothing. Ann Arbor? That's not a pirate, is it? Despite having only half the eyes of everyone else, she's able to hold her own in a fight while making 75 cents for every dollar everyone else makes. Is that why she plunders gold? Maybe. She can do guaranteed damage if you hit the guard break after landing a hit, or after whiffing a hit if your opponent is particularly unskilled and doesn't notice the attempted grab like a drunkard at the club reaching for that ass. Did I mention she has a flintlock pistol? Talk about bad. Throw some water or your degenerate jizz on her gun and then it's no more useful than the oars of her boat she assures us exists. I'm skeptical. Number 21, Jormungandr. Fuck this character. If his stupid punch came out a little slower, he'd be at least 6 spots down this list. Did I mention it drains stamina like a fucking vampire? Not to mention his lights are fast, and when he knocks you down, he gets a cutscene that destroys your health bar. Yeah, it refills your stamina, but by the time you've reached this point, your health is either empty or about to be. Make like Vlad the Impaler when he sees a pale Transylvanian and run this character through every chance you get. Fuck this guy. Number 20, Griffin. Holden Cross, but old. He has a dodge attack that can be chained into a kick to the gut, which gives you a guaranteed heavy attack that is scientifically designed to piss you off. That being said, that's about all he has. His age has caught up with him, and you can't teach an old knight new tricks. Kill the enemy quickly, or he might be late to take his vitamins. Number 19, Medjay. Another hero I haven't unlocked. The servant of the pharaoh is the potential member of the order decided to make himself scarce before the Muslims arrived to kill the entirety of Egypt just to bury his axe staff thing in your head. He has 2 forms of combat, staff and axe. I haven't actually fought him enough to tell which is good for what. I guess the staff is slower and does more damage, but I haven't been able to play my Xbox and confirm this for about 3 weeks as of writing this line. All I have is Assassin's Creed and Egypt jokes. I mean, what do you want me to say? This guy has a grab attack where he knees you in the face with the force of the sandstones used to build the pyramids. He can break his weapon in half, something I assume cost him an arm and a leg, knowing the time savers and Assassin's Creed Origins onward. Pathetic comedy you saw coming a mile away. I think I'm gonna move on, because if I don't, my lifespan will be about as long as King Tut's. Number 18, Berserker. An assassin with hyper armor. So an assassin, in air quotes. Would you believe he has a dodge attack? I know, I'm shocked too. He has the ability to chain his attacks until he runs out of stamina and starts huffing like that one kid from gym class who you're genuinely concerned for. He also has an unblockable if you actually end the chain with a heavy, at which point you will end your attack with morale-destroying damage. Oh, sorry, did I say morale destroying damage? I meant you'll be parried and, depending on your opponent, lose 50% of your health for the foolish idea of actually ending the attack chain instead of letting it die off into a guard break. I never played Berserker because I can't stand him, so I don't have much to say besides did you know he's voiced by Stefan Karl Stefansson. I'm sure I got that name wrong. Ironic, given this hero is way more deserving of the name of Robbie Rotten along with whoever's holding the controller. Truly a part of my childhood. Rest in peace, man. Number 17, Raider. This average Danish citizen has a nasty little combo. Wanna know it? Start a heavy attack and then hit the feint button followed by a light attack. He'll do a wide swing that turns him into him ramming his butt of his axe directly into your opponent's head. This works a few times in a row. You'd think most people would have it down after the first concussion, but as with duels and sex, it usually takes two. And there's a lot of thrusting. If you guard break while running, you'll perform a bear hug where you carry your opponent. If you hit a wall while doing this, Raider will slam your opponent against the wall and then knee him in the face for another concussion. This is a man of the skull. Take him down for the safety of head everywhere, something I assure you is not a sex joke. Number 16, Zhang Zheng. Yeah, that's gotta be how it is. Sporting a Guandao, I'm sure I pronounced that correctly, the size of his BMI in home country, the Zhang Zheng is an old man that has traveled the length of Siberia to enforce the Emperor's will, which he does by kicking you in the shin and landing an overhead light. He can also perform an unblockable if he ends a combo with a heavy attack and has hyper armor like every other heavy. But the real thing he'll get you with is his timing. Every time this senior citizen goes for a heavy attack, he takes about 3 times as long as you expected, which is just long enough to either bait you and then beat you or just power through what flimsy attack you did. This process will continue until you overpower your Dark Souls lizard brain and don't attempt to auto parry every attack he does, something that took me roughly 3 years, and the game's only had him for like 2, so... If you can't do that, try offering him opium. I hear it's a hit about 300 years into the future. He also has a move where he grabs you by the throat and chokes you, draining your stamina and sating whatever weird sexual desires you have. If only all of China had known this skill, Genghis wouldn't have even been able to form Mongolia, let alone the Yuan dynasty, and I guarantee about 3 people understood that reference without looking it up. Number 15, Highlander. Scotland forever. This man has a big sword and big damage. If you hold the heavy attack button at any time, your next combo will be entirely unblockable at the cost of being unable to guard at all, which doesn't mean that much if you're on the offensive. He also has a kick, a grab where he throws you like a WWE match, only not staged, and occasionally the ability to slide across the floor while doing an attack because your opponent rolled away too early. A tech that is absolutely not broken and also not the source of all criticism I have for this guy. Did I forget to mention his blockable heavies have hyper armor? Because they have motherfucking hyper armor, at least when they get going, which, like an aging gentleman, is the hardest part. Just be careful about initiating or your battles will go about as well as Scotland versus England IRL. Number 14, Kensei. A renowned swordsman and anime enthusiast, Kensei can be one of the most annoying characters to play against. 2 words, swift strike. It is a dodge heavy, and yet it's easy, saves you from hits, and it can even be fucking feinted into a hyper armor side heavy, unblockable top heavy, or a guard break and a guaranteed heavy, because the devs thought one of the easiest to pull off moves as this guy didn't have enough ways to basically guarantee damage yet. Was that grammatically correct? One of the easiest to pull off, easy. Who cares? Back to the move. You can... Okay. You can do it when the enemy is attacking, you can do it when the enemy isn't attacking, to bait them into parrying, only to feint it into hyper armor and hit anyway, because fuck you! The rest of his kit isn't even super high tier except for his Bofi, where he backs up and shoots an arrow for 75% of your health before moving in and, you guessed it, swift striking you to death. The fact that his lights are about as fast as most noobs running away from him doesn't even matter because of this one move. Thank God the rest of his kit isn't broken, although it does encourage noobs to spam it against other noobs until you get over the idea of parrying every attack that comes your way and just blocking some. Either way, irritating character. If there was a mastermind behind shit like Pearl Harbor, it would be this guy. Kill him with the prejudice of Imperial Japan against Imperial China. Number 13, Warmonger. After the last boss of the campaign was made into a playable character 3 years after the fact, what the hell is that conversion rate, by the way? She has a forward guard break where she backhands the enemy and can do an unblockable heavy that will almost always be parried by the AI, or a light stab that will do guaranteed damage, if less. It's like a parryable sledgehammer versus a slap from a toddler. She can also guard and break off a parry and run you through, and then keep running until she's done or hits a wall, where she literally claws your face and causes bleed damage, at which point she will be defended as entirely justified in her actions by pitbull owners and Twitter alike. Most of the rest of her stuff is normal, except her feats where she coats her sword in that new strain of COVID invented by Boston University, and when she hits you, you get infected and take damage whenever anyone enters the circle around you. This is usually the time your allies will decide it's a good idea to turn this battle into a full-on team fight, and you will succumb to the Bostonian menace. The other notable feat is her ultimate where she infects everyone within her explosion with it unless they're allies. What do you know, it is smart enough to discriminate. These two feats combined with her good slap, stab, and alright get land her up high. Just not as high as Warden, but we'll get to that. Number 12, Warden. We're getting to that. Crusade Incarnate, he's got it all. Alright lights, an unblockable heavy combo ender, pretty alright feats, and the shoulder. Why is this man the master of the longsword when all you'll ever see is his shoulder bash followed by his guaranteed 2-hit light combo, and if you think you can dodge it, he can hold it until your dodge is complete and hit you anyway. Warden is a warmonger, but better because he doesn't rely on his feats with 1-minute cooldowns in order to do serious damage. He is also the first or second hero you play, which means that any Warden you see will either force you to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, or be sent to church in a casket after getting raw dogged like an altar boy. Truly a high-tier jack of all trades and hater of Protestants. Number 11, Kyoshin. About as anime as the characters in this game get, Kyoshin relies on an all-guard parry that lets him land 5 consecutive hits that do his dick length and damage, or a single unblockable heavy he can do whenever. He also has a habit of sheathing his guardless katana every time he's done fighting, like a true weeaboo. He also has a flying roundhouse kick that doesn't do much, but it's occasionally distracting enough to get you killed by his light or his teammate who just came out of nowhere and know when he kills you, he doesn't Omaiwa Moshindaru, although half his executions could certainly use that sound effect. Make it happen, Ubisoft. Number 10, T-Andy. If you've ever seen the POV, you mean T-Andy video, you already know everything about this character. He has a dodge light and heavy that can be feinted into a light heavy, or their dodge counterparts. Or even a fucking kick that sends you backward like you're in a Marvel movie, to the point I'm surprised he doesn't make a dumb quick before going full CGI. There's not much else to say here, just be prepared to dodge attack and go deaf from the screaming of Chinese. Number 9, Zandu. The personal guard of the Emperor and the local pyromaniac, Zandu sports a large sword that is definitely not compensating for something and is famous for his dodge attack. That's right, it's Kensei, but with lights as well. And not just that, this guy can do a follow-up to his dodge that can either be light or heavy and is unblockable regardless of which you do. This motherfucker has unblockable lights that are blindingly fast, and can be immediately chained into an endless string of dodges and unblockables. And that's not even mentioning his firebombs and ultimate where he lights you up like Chinese New Year. What year is it? The overcooked European? If it weren't for the rest of Skip being mid to below average, he would easily be within the top 5. Confucius once said, "Silence is a true friend who never betrays," presumably because the silence is the result of the guy you just burned to death like you're playing Hatred from 2018. Or was it 2019? Or 2020? Who cares, the game's lame. In short, just picture the scene where Mulan hits Shan Yu with a giant firework and sends him into the Emperor's Tower to die in a massive explosion. Number 8, Aramusha. Endless chains of lights and heavies, the character. His lights are fast and his heavies can't be interrupted. He also has an all-guard parry that lets him initiate with an unblockable attack. If you can guard faster than he lights, you're good. If you can parry lights, you're even better. He also has a grab where he slams you with the butt of his sword because using the blade was apparently too hard and disorients you for a moment, allowing him to initiate or reinitiate into a new combo, a feat that's pretty impressive given that the hat and being Asian, he shouldn't even be able to see. The 10 of 10, one of my favorite characters in the game. A minion clearing master and the bane of noobs everywhere. Then again, bane of noobs is a title shared by every hero. Regardless, number 7, Blackprior. The only European who doesn't hear black and run for the nearest middle-class neighborhood, Blackprior outright embraces it, giving him the stamina needed to run around in full armor with the most annoying shield in the game. And speaking of that shield, it single-handedly brings him to this ranking. It does it all. Bashes into guaranteed lights, all guard, unblockables from all guard, a counter where he flips you over that occurs when attacked while attacking during all guard. His entire playstyle revolves around guarding even harder than a politician when presented with their track record. This results in 2 playstyles, aggressive, bashing, and turtling, and your constant shift between them, like a juggler with presumably more violence. He's well shielded and his feats are entirely based around giving him and his allies shield. He's Captain America the character, although he's a knight, so it's more like Captain Germany, although that one sounds kinda like World War II Germany. Regardless, play like a turtle, and if you die, remember, the Third Reich's the charm. Number 6, Conqueror. Replace Blackprior's all-guard counter with a guaranteed unblockable heavy for a counter, unblockable heavies on command, and an unending chain of lights. This character has just as much tank as BP with even more offense, which makes him even worse to play against. The reason he's called Conqueror is because attaching the last name of your ass was shot down by the higher-ups, even though it's entirely true. Get this monster out of my sight, now. Number 5, Warlord. Hot damn, could it be another shield heavy guy? He doesn't even have the unblockable heavies or the chains of the previous 2, but he does have guarantees that do real damage, unlike the other 2. All guard, forward guard break, and forward heavy are all you need to counter any attack. The enemy will either be deflected and eat your next light/heavy, or screw up as you hyper armor through their attack and bring a Nordic sword down on them with all the fury of the Swedish Empire behind it. And with the way he's designed, there's less of an emphasis on turtling like Conqueror, only more so, because sitting and waiting is less beneficial. Just master when to guard and when to attack, or you'll go the way of the Scandinavian superpower. Number 4, Shigoki. Imagine Wario, but he's as Japanese as the people that created him. The end result is the world's tallest Asian swinging a massive club. He's a party goer, and you're a piñata, as anyone who's received his charged heavy can attest to. He also has a bash where he headbutts you like that one drunk uncle at your high school graduation, and a hug where he breaks your back and somehow heals from it. Imagine if Bane had that ability. The Dark Knight Rises would have been half an hour instead of 5 times that long. One of my favorites, he also gets hyper armor on all heavies and his hug once it's started. Combine this with a mass bigger than yours. Oh, did you think I was gonna make a your mom joke? I was gonna, but I realized you more accurately shake him. Regardless, with all the things this lad has, he's one of my favorite heroes. Oh, and he has a health bar as big as your mom. Oh, got him! Number 3, Hitokiri. Imagine Shigoki. Now stop drooling and imagine he can chain endless hyper armor, heavy attacks, and even end with an unblockable or a leg sweep like the Death Dragon from TMNT 2012 and then hit you about as hard as the nostalgia from that reference. Anyone remember that show? One of my favorites when I was young. Well, a bit younger. He also has an entire set of feats dedicated to executions, starting with gaining a temporary shield and becoming interruptible during executions until it's destroyed, which it never will be in time, so if the guy catches you in a team fight, you're not getting revived. His other feats mainly give more damage and more health for one specific execution, and his ultimate does your health bar and damage after he does some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure backflip shit that will almost guarantee you miss outside of team fights. Just spam heavies until your enemy runs out of will to live while making sure you don't run out of stamina, or try to power through a life-ending attack like a child trying his dad's belt, and you should be fine. Number 2, Centurion. Incredibilis. A man from a time when Italians were good at war, Centurion's here to take your stamina and suck it dry like a vacuum cleaner being operated by a Mexican mom when her son's playing Xbox. He can throw a punch after most heavies either whiffed or landed, and if that punch is charged, he'll knock you over, and then he can initiate a cutscene where he runs at you and stabs you in the gut like an Italian senator when he sees the monarchy. Keeping in theme with the Roman Senate, most of his attacks he'll perform heavy stabs that can be charged into a jump strike if they're an opener, and unblockable if they're a finisher. He can also do a stamina draining This Is Sparta kick that usually lets him get a light attack off. It's also probably the only time you'll actually use his light attack, as he's one of the only characters in the game where his heavy is objectively better than his lights. Initiating as him isn't super hard, provided you're slightly better than garbage, and once you get going, he's really one of the most enjoyable characters as well as the strongest. I also heard one time he gets a plus 120% damage increase if your opponent likes pineapple on pizza or is a Byzantine historian, so just don't be either and you'll die at a notably slower rate. Allegedly. Number 1, Lawbringer. Easily the most controversial ranking on the entire list, I guarantee Lawbro's position alone will warrant a 7-page explanation about how I'm wrong and how I should delete System 32 both on my computer and in my brain. But what can I say? He's got it all. Defense, attack, a combo that's easy to learn and feels hella good once you get it, a forward guard break bash that leaves you open, and an overhead heavy that disorients your enemy and can be followed by a faster than light attack, that's not a tongue twister or anything, that you won't block unless you know it's coming, and followed by an unblockable heavy. This heavy can also be feinted into a guard break, something that is guaranteed to work once and never again. He also has an option to change his race, something that is absolutely worthless to him as he is coated entirely in armor, presumably to avoid drying up and disintegrating in the sun. Oh, and if you parry or do a running heavy, you will impale the enemy and start a marathon sprint forward until you stop or hit a wall. The Law Train is versatile, fun, and has an answer to any attack while having his own that range from incredible to at least okay. Placing him at the very top of a list large swath of people will be unable to understand the reasoning of. Alright, I think that's probably it. Thanks for watching this incredibly disjointed and nonsensical ranking. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe, or if you didn't, leave a like and subscribe anyway. More content to come on both YouTube and Odyssey. Oh, and happy Halloween.